Okay. Okay. I'm putting you on here. Okay. Well, I'm gonna open up with a prayer then. You know. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome. Put it on me. Welcome to Rhema Word Church. We having a finance seminar, and we're gonna be glad to share. This is those of you that watching online. Um, we're gonna ask you to just take notes. I'm gonna say a prayer, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Pastor William. Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you for being our God. You're an awesome God. There's no God like you. Father, we just thank you for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you for your mighty power. Now, Father, we welcome your precious Holy Spirit as we come together, Father, and learn about finance. We declare that our heart is open and perceptive into your life-changing word. Father, we ask you to let your blessing be on every speaker. We ask you to let your blessing be on each individual that stands to the mic. And we just thank you. Thank you for your prayer. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
We thank God for this setting. We thank God for being empowered. Um, the scripture literally tells us, above all, you want us to prosper and be in good health. If we're going to believe half of the Bible, we need to believe the whole Bible. Amen. We come here for all of the benefits of God, and we are so happy to have Miss Kills, if that's right, Miss Kills, and Mr. Knight Jr., representative, and also an investment advisor that's here, that's certified, two people that has great integrity, that also they are um, connected with the military, has been connected with the military, Ms. Kills, and we're just happy just to have them here. And we ask each and every one of you to literally tune in and just as Pastor Jordan said, take note, take notes, take notes, um, because we pray for miracles, but at the end of the day, you need money to pay your bills. You need money to put gas in your automobile. And if you don't manage your money will manage you. So it's our prayer for God to continue to give this great man and this great woman, wisdom and knowledge to convey into us, amen, wisdom on how to invest and how to navigate our money. Amen. Let's give them a hand as they come.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Ayana Keels, as the Reverend said, and this is.
Kevin Knight Jr.
I am an investment advisor, and that's a really flashy term to be able to say I teach people how to use their money for them. And so, me and Kevin are going to share some information with you guys tonight. Um, all of this is none of this is a recommendation. We will show some things, but it's not for you guys to kind of figure out on your own. That's why we're here. That's why Reverend brought us in, to be able to help everybody have an individualized plan. So there's 4 areas that we work with people in. The first one is, hey, I don't have enough money. So we started talking about that. The next area is, hey, I have enough money, but I don't know where to put it. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know how I should allocate it, giving my money a job. The next one is, hey, okay, so I've kind of allocated it, but is it working as hard as it should be? And the last one is debt. So those are the primary areas we work in, but we touch quite a few things. But we're going to start off today. Kevin's going to get started with you guys first and share some principles that we feel everyone should have known, because we've been to school for a long time. All of us went to school for a long time. The only thing they taught us about money is how to count it. Now we're going to talk about what you should be doing and could be doing with your money. Okay, so I'm going to hand this over to Kevin. All right.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Kevin Knight Jr. For me, whenever I think of money, I kind of think of, like you would say, normal income and the things that you've been able to just grow up thinking about, right? When you guys think of money, what comes to mind? Whatever it is that may be, right? I hear power, right? Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. So can I show you something powerful? Well, when you look at the screen here, right, what we have on the screen is not just a representation of just numbers, right? It's not just numbers on the screen that you're looking at. It's a pictured representation of the power, wisdom, and understanding that you could have, right, to be able to then yield to what you can actually do with your money. So what it's showing you here is it's showing you different ages. If you were to start, investing in things like that, what you would need to put away either daily, monthly, or yearly in order to be able to reach $1 million by the age of 65 with a 12% annual interest rate. Now, a lot of times when people see this, like I said, it just looks like a bunch of numbers. But it's more so a pictorial representation of that freedom that you could have when you understand how money works. So let's look at this example here. Let's take age 20, right? So for us, think back when you were in your 20s, I know everybody always say, I look young and all that, but I'm actually 37, right? So when I think back to my 20s, I'm like, man, if I would have started putting away $2 a day, imagine that, $2 a day, that would have put me on the road to be able to get to the point to where I was on track to be a millionaire or have $1 million in the bank by the time I reached 65 with that 12% interest rate. Now, $2 a day, does that seem like a lot today? Now, when we were in our 20s, did that seem like a lot then? Yeah, in your 20s, right? $2 a day, maybe. But could we probably not have come up with $2 a day to put yourself on that financial road to be able to achieve what we want to achieve then, now, right? So now, the difference between it, though, is not that, we're looking at a bunch of numbers here. It's the fact that the biggest thing that this is pointing out to me is not the numbers. It's the time. Because now, let's take the same example. And let's say we're 50 years old, right? 50 years old, you'd have to be putting away almost $75 a month to achieve the same goal that you would have been, a day, sorry, thank you. $74 or $75 a day to achieve the same goal that you would have been on if you would have started in your 20s. Did the goal change? No, but what changed? Time, right? What they say, time has no master? Huh? Does time have a king? Can you tell time what to do? What's the most expensive thing you will spend every day? Time, right? So if you learn how to utilize your time in itself, as this is showing you, you could take advantage of those moments to be able to set you up to be that person that could look at $1 million in an account by age 65, not having to worry about where your next check is going to come from. So here, looking at this just shows you kind of like the idea of what you could do with your money when you have the time. But I will also say this. Even if you're not at 20, it doesn't matter if you're at 30, 35, 40, right, 50. I always tell people, once you learn the knowledge, right, the most important part is starting. So what we are doing is setting up the foundation for everyone in the room and the audience that we have online, is setting the foundation for you all to understand where to start. And the biggest thing is to be able to, take away all the things that you would hear about the rich getting richer and things like that. Because what's the difference between the rich and us? It's just the knowledge. It's the wisdom. And that gives us power, right? So we like to empower people to be able to understand what to do with their money so then they can do what? Make better choices. Because when you know better, you what? You do better. There we go. So the next thing that I want to talk about and hit on is a rule that I, myself, when I was in college and I studied electrical engineering in school, for me, studying electrical engineering, I did a whole lot of math. I was taking calculus 1, 2, and 3, calculus-based physics, engineering math, all these other classes that nowadays when I look at it, I'm like, man, I'm not saying it didn't teach me nothing. And shout out to all my engineers in the room or in the audience, right? But what did it really teach me about like counting money and putting my money to work for myself? Not really much. So we're going to go into what we call the rule of 72, right? And whether or not you've heard of it, and whether or not you may understand a little bit or know something about it, let's talk about the rule of 72. And the rule of 72 has to deal with how money works, right? So this rule says that if I take the number 72 and I divide the annual percentage or interest rate into that number, it'll tell me how many years it takes for that money to double. So let's do some quick math real quick, right? You got $10,000 in a bank account. 72, and your APR is 1%. 72 divided by 1 is what? 72. So what does that mean? You got to wait 72 years for that 10,000 to become 20. Anybody got that much time in the room? Right, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, I'm counting the clock right now, right? Yeah. So understand that though. But I'll ask you, what is the APR that you're getting on your savings account? Because I guarantee it ain't 1%. And I guarantee it's probably zero something. Yeah. Shoot, what they say, 0.01% divided into 72? That's 7,200 years. We already said we ain't got 72 years to wait. You got 7,200 years? Shoot, I don't even know if the world gonna still be here in 7,200 years, right? So with that understanding, I'll give you another example here. Let's say if we took that APR and we went from 1% to 3%. Same 10,000, right? 72 divided by 3, that's 24. So every 24 years, that money is going to double, right? So in 48 years, how much money do you think you have? 10,000 doubles into 20, 20,000 doubles into 40,000. Clicker ain't trying to work on me, but we're going to get it right. So 10,000 doubles into 20, 20,000 doubles into 40,000. In 48 years, we would have $40,000 sitting in an account. Now let me ask you, do you have 48 years to wait for a $30,000 increase in this time, in this market, in this economy, and the way things are going? Nah, not at all, man. $30,000, shoot. Man, how long it would take you to spend $30,000? Quicker than 48 years, I'll tell you that. Now let's do this. Let's say if we took the APR, 3%, and we doubled it to 6. Took 72 and divided 6 into 72. That would give us 12. That means every 12 years, that same money is going to double. Now, with $10,000, how much money do you think you would have in that same 48 years? Somebody call out a random. Give me a number. What do you think? No right or wrong answers. What do you think? What you got? Yeah, everybody want to do the math in itself. Normally, I'll tell you what people say. They just go ahead and double this number. Mr. Knight, we're going to have $80,000. I like that. What about $160,000? By doubling your APR, you quadrupled the money that you have in an account simply by understanding the rule of 72 and how interest works and how to put your money to work for you. Like Ayana, you hear Ayana say, your money should work for you, right? Anybody ever had a part-time job? Yeah, that's like that 3% APR. Anybody ever had that full-time job? You got to put the time in? That's like that 6%, right? Who's had to work overtime? Who likes working overtime? Right? Because the biggest thing I tell people, when you know better, as we talked about, you do better. So the biggest thing that we've been working and doing our whole lives is buying our time back. How can I get more time to do the things I love? Spend time with my family, go on vacations, invest more money. You know, being able to have that true financial freedom to empower us to be able to do the things that we want and not the things that we can. Does it make sense to everybody? Now remember that APR that I was talking about at the beginning, that 12%? Everybody always sees that magic number. It's like, man, 12% looks really good, but how do we get that? Yeah, we'll end up telling you itself. But before we get it, let's talk about it. Let's say if I did the same thing and I doubled that 6% to 12%. 12% goes into 72 6 times. So every 6 years, that same $10,000 is going to double. Quick math. How much money do you think you have in the same 48 years? Somebody call out a number. You got to give me a number now. What do you think? You got 48 years. You got 160,000 right now, 6%. How much money do you think you have right here at 12%? Call out a number. Give me a number. 380,000? I like that. Try 2.56 million. 2.56 million. All by doubling the interest. Rule of 72. Man, when I found this rule out, I was just like, man, everybody needs to know this. And I've tutored people in algebra, trigonometry, calculus, all that. And I never learned this. I looked at my professor and I was like, where were y'all? Right? Where were y'all hiding this information? Imagine the power that we would have, right? Like you said, when we know better, we do better. How empowered we would be to be able to understand money and how that works. To go back to us putting away a little bit every day, starting early. Because like I said, going back to that first slide, $2 a day, right? Keep my happiness bright. Because $2 a day will yield to that. So you guys see based off the APR that it actually is possible, is it not? You just got to put yourself in the right vehicles. So, understanding that, see, my daughter agrees, right? Exactly. Okay. I hope y'all heard that illustrious explanation that I gave. I tried to speak loud enough, but understanding that you would have, right? When you can take the things that you know as a foundation and shake and shift all of the things that you've ever been taught about money, all the horror stories, all the ghost stories, you need to save. Yes, saving is important. But if you don't put your money to work, right, every dollar you save that's not working for you is losing money over time. And what's the most expensive thing that we spend every day? Time. So understanding that, remember I told you, right? Looking at it, 3%, look at that as like your part-time job. Your money is working for you part-time. 6%, your money is working for you full-time. Now, I don't went into overdrive now, right? This is a better vehicle. A little bit more, better gas mileage, right? You can go a little bit further without having to stop, less maintenance. But what did I always talk about? Imagine your money working for you overtime. The money is putting in the overtime, not you. Now, you know the work ethic that you got. Can you outwork a dollar? Anybody in here can outwork a dollar? Because the dollars that I know don't need no sleep, don't need no days off, don't get sick, and if you burn it, the other dollar don't matter. Well, that dollar goes away, other dollars are still cool. So if you can get yourself to a point to where your money is putting in overtime, imagine what you'll be able to maximize for yourself. Now, when we talk about vehicles, there are many different vehicles that you can utilize to be able to put yourself on that track in itself. And that's what Ayana is going to come and talk to you all about different vehicles that you can use to show you examples of how you can actually achieve that. All right? Ayana? Yep.
All right. So he put me on the spot because we talk. We didn't. I'm gonna go into inflation. I got you. I got you. I got you. So when we talk about the rule of 72, it can either work for you or against you. Okay. So when I show this to people, y'all saw how y'all eyes got big when y'all got to that 12%. Most people never seen it work for them, but I bet you know it working against you. Because you know if you buy a house today, and you make those minimum payments for 30 years, you know by the end you to pay for that house plus something else, right? That's the rule of 72 working against you. Same thing with car loans. Make the minimum payments. You done pay for that plus something else. If you got some student loans or your kids got some student loans and they defer them for a little bit, that you know, when you open it up, it look a little different, right? So that's the rule of 72 working against you. Now, I think it's always interesting that when I talk to people, everybody knows how it works against us. We've been conditioned to accept it, but nobody ever taught us about how to make it work for us, okay? So, like Kevin was saying, we want to make sure our money is working, and we want to beat it working against us. So if you have debt, if you have your kids, if you got any type of situation financially, and you want to build a strategy to pay that down, because somebody told us we're supposed to pay 30 years on a mortgage, right? But if we think about it, I don't know how many people done bought brand new cars off the lot, right? But if we done bought a brand new car off the lot, husband and wife, let's say $40,000 a piece, plus all the stuff you put on it, you pay that off in what, 7 years, right? So you done paid $100,000 worth of cars in 7 years, but then we paid 30 years on the house, right? But somebody taught us that that's how we're supposed to do it. Who you think that benefits? Exactly. It benefits them. And so we're going to talk, if you have that need, we talk about how to pay your debt off so you can pay it off sooner, because you can't pay yourself if you're paying somebody else, right? So the next thing that most people don't think about is a little word called inflation, right? Now, inflation is built into the game. If you listen to what the news says, what everything, they'll make it sound like it's because of this politician or this or that, but it's built into the game, okay? Because you remember when he said full time is 6%? Inflation for big ticket items moves at 6%, okay? So if inflation is moving at 6%, but your money is moving at 1%, are you making money or losing money over time? Losing money. Does that sound safe? Those savings accounts sound so safe now? No. Because when you put your money in a savings account, it's working for somebody else. It's not working for you. But that means every 12 years, the cost of things should double, okay? For everyday items such as food and clothes and that stuff, it moves at about 3%. So that's every 24 years. So I wasn't here in 1962, but they had everything come up for us so we can start showing this. Back in 1962, you can buy a car off the lot for $2,000. I had to look, y'all nod. I had to go look this up because I cleared, right? $2,000. A house was $12,000. Income was about $5,000, right? Now, 12 years after that, the cost of everything doubled. Cars went up to $4,000. Houses went up to $24,000. Income kept up with it. In the 70s, I'm sorry, 80s, the same thing. The 90s was the last time that the cars doubled to 16,000, houses went to 96,000, and income, I don't know if y'all can see it, it's at 40,000. But by 2010, something else happened. Cars went to 32,000, houses went to about 192,000, but income would have had to been at $80,000 a year. Do y'all think most Americans were making $80,000 a year? Most Americans aren't making $80,000 a year now. So this is where the gap between those who know and those who don't, they took off. Their money was working. They knew what to do and put it. And unfortunately for us, well, not us, but a lot of people in our communities, we were taught, get a good job and work hard. You're going to be good, right? The rules changed, all right? So by 2022, were we not losing our mind about the cost of eggs and everything else? It was time for everything to double, but nobody taught us the rules. So it caught us off guard. I don't know if y'all football people, right? But you know how when back in the day when they used to be trying to catch their ball and that hitter come and they'll lose their ball? That's what was happening to us. We got hit. We got hit and now you hurt, right? Or financially set back. So cars went to 64,000, houses went to 384,000, but to have the same buying power they had in the 60s, you have to be making $180,000 a year. So it's not in your head when you go to the grocery store and you like, dang, I got 4 items in my buggy and it's $100. The cost of things were going up, but our money isn't, or at least our income isn't keeping up. So when I talk to people about your money working for you, it's because now we're 3 years? We're coming into 4 years into this next 12 year, right? So in the next, what is that? How many years? Huh? Yeah, but how many years is that? 8, 9, no, 8. In the next 8 years, they're saying a car will be over 1,200. I'm sorry, over 120,000. But we can see that. They want self-driving cars. They want, I just seen my first person get in a self-driving car. One of my friends did, and I was like, y'all crazy. Ain't no way, right? Really? Oh, goodness. Yes, so exactly. Go out there and look at some nice stuff. Houses will be over 700,000, but we already see that. If you go go out in Washington, go to the East Coast, go to Hawaii, they're already there. But at what time is your job going to give you a $180,000 raise in the next 8 years? So this is where we tell people you've entered the me economy. We can't tell them how much a car should cost. We can't tell them how much a house should cost. But what we can do is make sure we're consistently making sure we are up in our income, but also making sure that the income is working for us. Because we have to be a good steward of what we've been blessed with, okay? And so now we're going to talk about where you can get this 12%. Because that's what everybody, they be like, this all look good. Them numbers look great. But where am I going to get 12% on my money? Because most of us would say if we knew where to get 12%, we would already be there, right? And so have you guys heard of common stocks and mutual funds before? You have. Okay, perfect. So you're ahead of the curve if you have, because most of people haven't. Have y'all talked about or heard about how it all works together, how common stocks and mutual funds work together? No? Okay, so I use a lot of analogies when I talk about money. The reason being, I want you to be the smartest person when it comes to your money. My grandfather told me this when I went to the mechanic shop. He said if a mechanic can't explain it to you, it's either because he don't know or he don't want you to know, and neither one of those things are for your benefit, okay? So I want you guys to know what I'm talking. I don't want to talk over your head. So if I say something that don't make sense, we amongst family, okay? Be like, say that a different way, okay? So I want you guys to think of a mall in your area. I'm not sure what mall is in this area, but okay, so yes. So I want you to tell me your favorite store in that mall. Food counts, because everybody don't like to shop, but everybody like to eat. Okay, Macy's. So let's say you said, okay, I got $100 a month I want to invest in Macy's. All right? So that's buying a common stock. That's the same thing as buying Amazon, Facebook, anything like that off of the market. And so everybody loves when the market is going up, right? So let's say that stock is climbing. That means you're making money. We all kind of know that part, right? But let's say that stock starts having some bad news come out and it starts dropping. You get a little, right? That's what makes us afraid of the market. What if I picked the wrong one at the wrong time? And so let's say that company goes bankrupt. You can lose everything in that one investment. And so most people don't want to do that because when it happened with Target, you know, people were like, ooh, the shareholders was like, okay, like whatever y'all doing, that's not what we signed up for. But what if instead of giving Macy's $100, you gave them $1? You gave Bath and Body Works $1. You gave Foot Locker $1. You spread your whole 100 out over the entire mall. So now, if Macy goes out of business, does the entire mall shut down? Nope. And they normally don't leave it empty. They bring in another store and replace it, right? So when you think of your money being spread out like that over a bunch of stores or common stock, I want you to think of a mall, a mutual fund. A mutual fund is just a mall of common stock, okay? So, as y'all know, malls don't have one thing in them. They have some technology in them. You might have, some of them even got doctor's offices. That's how mutual funds work. It's going to diversify you out so that if one sector may not be doing well, another sector may. If one company shuts down, you got some of the funds have, 80 other ones. That's how we diversify it out. So if you wanted to build wealth but protect yourself at the same time, would you rather have that single company, that one store, or that entire mall? The entire mall. And so that's one of the things that we use. We do have brokerage accounts and managed accounts. We have over 600 different funds we can choose from. We partner with over 20 different companies. Some of the ones that you may know is Fidelity. Some people know, Franklin Templeton. Some people know Empower because their money is with it with their 401ks, AFG. But it's a lot because one company can't be good at everything. Okay? And so that is what a mutual fund is. Is it the next one, Kevin? All right. Ooh, we might not be able to see it. Can you zoom in and see if it makes it a little bigger? So what I did not put any exact mutual funds on here. The reason being I don't want people to take it as a recommendation. I don't know your situation, so I can't say this fits you, okay? But I wanted to show you guys that their funds been out here since 1968, right? Averaging 10.92%, right? So that's since 1968, averaging 10.92, all right? This one right here is not aggressive because most people think you have to do something aggressive. As you can see in the last 10 years, it's averaging 11, the last 5, 18, the last 3, 13, the last year, 12, year-to-date, 12. Kevin, is it one above that one? Okay, yeah, you can scroll down for me if you can. All right, and so then you have this one. You can go to the bottom one. It was one. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I was like, that number looks a little bigger. So the way I explain funds to people is I want you to think about driving in Atlanta traffic, okay? Y'all know if you get over there in that left lane, go over there. Y'all better be moving. Don't go over there playing. As my clients from Atlanta say, that's that I got ticket money over there, right? Atlanta, exactly. So there are funds that function like that. Then we have middle lane. Middle lane's not quite as fast as the left lane, but it does move fast. And then right lane is normally the slowest. I normally start middle lane and work my way over. So this one right here is middle lane, 1960, averaging, since 1960 is averaging 9.92%. And this one is not aggressive at all. It's middle balanced, meant to give you dividends and growth at the same time. The one I showed you the first time is one step over, not far left, but as you can see, the numbers get a little bigger. The money's working a little harder. The final one that we're gonna look at, yeah. The final one that we're going to look at, not quite as old as the other ones, but as you can see, those numbers look a lot bigger. In the last 10 years, 14, almost 15%. The last 5, 13. The last 3, 27. The last year, 25. Year to date, up 17. So when we start talking about that 12%, we can find stuff that fits your needs, but this doesn't have to fit everybody's needs. Once again, I use football analogies when I talk to people. Are you a football person? I don't want to not say it and then you're not a football person too. You good? You like, okay. You like, whatever. But, so I'm a football person. So I tell people I want you to think of yourself as a quarterback. Then we have a fund that's a wide receiver. Then we have an offensive line. Then we have a running back. Running backs do amazing things sometimes, but most of the time they just trying to get down, right? Think of me as the person standing off the field watching the game, because you in the game. You don't see the same thing that we see on the out, right? And then think about the companies that we partner with as the people that are up in the box calling down to let us know what they see on the field. So you build a team. You build your dream team. That's what we do, okay? All right, so why is this all so important? Why do we do what we do? Have y'all heard about what's projected to happen in 2053? 2053. No? Nobody heard about it? All right, Kevin, you'll go up for me? So for the people, because I want to make sure that y'all can see it. The median net worth for the black household is set to fall to 0 by 2053. Yes, so you can type in black net worth 2053 and you'll be able to see this. So, yes. And so, yes, we know we have, pay gaps and all of that stuff. But when you look at it, one of the main things that they talk about is money management. We make more money in this country than we ever have, but we don't know how to handle what we get. And so I started getting my licenses. I am federally licensed, so I have the same licenses as the people on Wall Street to be able to do what I do, because I was interested in knowing how to make my money work. And when I would go to banks or go to all of these places and ask questions to financial professionals, they like, I don't know where to tell you to put your money, because banks, not saying that they can't, but most of the time when you talk to someone with my licenses, you gotta have 6 figures to even get an appointment. Yes. So I get to talk to everyday people, such as my mom, who worked all these years and never had a retirement. She doesn't have a retirement. I set up her retirement, And so she told me it's okay to share this, because I cried when I set it up. Think about that, having your child, 30 years old, set up your retirement. So that means she's worked at least 30 years. Then we say time. She can't get that time back. She can't get it back. And there's so many people like her. So what we do is show you how to invest outside of your 401ks, how to build your strategy, how to pay off your debt, how to make sure your kids are set and financially stable. Kevin, go back to the first one for me. The green chart. The 7-figure, yeah. So the 7-figure portfolio, Kevin showed what happened for the 20-year-old, but if you see up top, for the 10-year-old, it's 66 cents a day to get to that same goal. How different would your life look if someone knew to set aside 66 cents a day and knew where to put it? How different would our communities look, right? And so the reason I got my licenses was to help people who want to do these type of things for their family, because nobody's coming to our communities knocking on the door saying, hey, this is what you should be doing financially. And so this is my spiel for tonight. Are you coming back? Oh. And so if you guys have any questions, you can most definitely ask them. We are here because a lot of times we want to ask financial professionals. We'll see some on TikTok or Facebook, and you're like, that sounds good, but does that fit me and my needs and my situation? So any questions? We got babies. In a mutual fund, yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Give them a mic. Okay. Excuse me.
Okay, if you wanted to invest in a mutual fund, if let's invest $10,000, and you select a group of companies that you want to invest in.
Yes, sir.
Would it be wise to have a broker to help assist you do this right here? That's where you come in at.
Yes.
That's where you come in at to help assist. And what would literally be, will your money be jeopardized if the stocks go down? How secure will your money be? Can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely. So with what you're invested in, everybody will be invested into different things. Like I said, we have over 600 funds to choose from. So it just depends on what your needs are. Now, these companies are federally regulated. So it's not like, the fluctuation of the market. We got to decide which ride you can handle. Most people have had 401ks, so y'all have been through something. You done been around 2008 when the market went down a little bit. Y'all done been around in 2020 when the market went down a little bit. So what we do is figure out what you can handle. the market will fluctuate. But we talk about the fluctuation and how it can be your friend, how it's your benefit, right? Because if you bought, let's say, oh, I don't have it in front of me. Okay, so let's say that you guys bought, let's say you like to shop, right? And you're going out with $100 today to go shop. And you go into your store and everything is 50% off, right? Are you going to be like, nah, I'm only going to spend $50? Or are you going to be like, I'm going to spend a whole 100 plus find some other money to buy the other stuff that I think I wanted? Most people spend a little bit more. That's how the market's going to work. So I'm not going to tell you the market's not going to go down, but when it does, if you're doing 100, you're going to buy more shares. As the market comes up, then those shares have more value, okay? But we have to pick which ride you can handle, because some of them are bigger than others. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, some of them are bigger than others. Some of them have a larger range. But it's talking to you individually to figure out what range works for you and gets you to your goals. So all of us, like I tell people, I'm federally licensed, and that means that when I work with you, I'm working for you and working in the best interest. Do you have to use a broker? I tell people all the time, I'm not telling you you have to, but if you don't know like how the market works, I would recommend it. It's kind of like if I went outside and tried to fix my car. I'm saying it might never run again. So yes.
Is there any someone just beginning investing,
Mm-hmm.
and they are very cautious about what to invest in,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to literally lose?
Yes.
Is there a way you could literally, I would say, assist them
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes.
saying that they would have, a safety where they won't lose it?
So nothing is ever guaranteed with investing, right? But what I do is I never put everybody's money all in the market. So when I build, I'm not just an investment professional, I'm a strategy builder, right? You remember when I told you you're going to have a wide receiver? That wide receiver might be a Roth IRA or a 401k, right? You remember I told you you're going to have a running back. That may be your emergency fund, right? You have an offensive line, that can be your regular savings. So what I'm going to do is diversify your money out and give it a job, because you got to see that we have different options. You can have your money working at different levels. All your money don't need to be doing the same job, because you don't know what it's going to be needed for. And so that money that's long term, we're going to manage it different than the way we manage the money that. So if you're saying, hey, I need this in 5 years, I'm not going to put it in something that's going to fluctuate in the market at a big rate. That's not what we're going to do. So that's why I talk to everybody one-on-one to kind of figure out what you want this money to do. And so that way, when we give it a job, we put it in a place that benefits that job, and not just putting it in the market and saying, hey, let's see what sticks.
So it's good to buy when the stocks are down.
It's
Would
good.
you advise that?
It's good to buy any day. Any day. Because if I wish I would have emailed it to Kevin. But if you look back where the market was back in 2022, it's lower than it was today. But that could have been the high at that time for that market. But we don't know when it's going to hit the high, and we also don't know when we're going to have certain things. So every day is a good day to be in the market. I tell people, don't time the market. We don't want to try to do that, because what happens when you time the market, you miss it. And so we want to just make sure that we build a long-term strategy to get you from where you are to where you want to be in the best place, in the places that most reasonable to fit that goal.
Have you seen any investors literally profit
Yes.
by investing?
So I'll tell you my story. I started off as a client. I was a client. Started back in 2016. I started, and 2020 I went through a life-changing event. Okay, I needed some start my life over money. So I'd say that so y'all can understand it wasn't a little bit of money. It was a lot of money. So first of all, I was thankful to have the money, right? Second of all, I was thankful to have somebody to tell me what to do, because I was about to take all my money out. I was like, just take it out. I'm going to start my life over and all that. He was like, do you need that much though? And I was like, that's a good question. I don't know. So we took out what I needed. And then I wasn't putting anything else in the account, because 2020 was happening, COVID. I wasn't contributing anything. 2021, I called him and said, hey, I got a client for you. He said, Yana, let's check your account. All of the money I had taken out of the account was back in the account from growth alone. That's the reason that day I signed up and got my licenses, because I knew people needed to know that your money can work for you. And so that's, yes, I have. And I do consider, yes. So that's why I love what I do, because when people come in, they meet with me at least once a year, and we get to look at their accounts, and they're like, my money did that. And I'm like, yes, your money can do amazing things when you know what to do with it. So yes, any other questions?
I can definitely relate to what you're saying. And then I guess on Brother William, I can I have experienced some of the things what he's saying. I was always taught that, I mean, if you're not looking to take a risk, you have to invest in something like CDs, something that don't yield a real high investment, but is more safe. But then I understood what you said about mutual fund, that, they kind of putting a little money in some of everything. So, with that being said, some of it, you're putting it in some that might be a little risky, that gonna yield more of an investment, but at the same time, you're gonna invest in something that more safe. So, and I don't think that was a question.
No, it was more, most definitely. But your train of thinking is normally, I hear that a lot because people say risk, right? So I tell people it depends on what risk, risk is going to happen regardless. Think about when you were a kid, what could you buy for $1?
A lot.
Right? Like y'all start thinking, y'all be like, a lot. What can you buy for $1 today?
Not much.
So you can have the risk that the money that you have isn't keeping up with what you're going to need it for in the future. So when we talk about risk, we have to say, okay, what am I going, because regardless, I tell people, you say safe with CDs, it's risk. It's risk that by the time you need this money, it doesn't have the same value, right? So what we do is talk about what you're willing to handle. So the way I explain it to people is, think about, the little fairs that they come, like Alabama National Fair, the little carnival ones, right? They have roller coasters. But then you have Six Flags size roller coasters. And then you have Universal Studio roller coasters. All of them are rides, and if you jump off of any of them, what's going to happen? Right? It's going to hurt real bad. And so what my job is to figure out what ride you can handle, but also keep you on the ride. Because if you think about roller coasters, there's always an exit, right? So we figure out what's the safe place for you to exit. And then if you think about the fair and amusement parks, there's always more than one ride. We can pick another ride. I just don't want you jumping in the middle of it, okay? And so that's what I'm here for. I'm not saying that you won't have some days that you get on and you like, whoo, the government, they done said something, did something, rattled the market, right? But then I tell my clients, call me, talk to me, and then we can always find out if it's time. Because how many times have we got on something and we thought we could handle it, and then we was like, oh no, never mind, right? So it's fine. Yeah, like, just let me make it, right? And that's fine. That's fine. That's what I'm here for, though. I'm here to help you figure out, okay, now this ride is too big. Let's move. Give you a safer ground. Yes. Yes.
I guess it depends on the which investment or which stock, but I guess what's an average timeline to see profit? Or it depends, what you're putting in.
It depends on what you're putting in,
Yeah.
how much you're putting in. Are we starting with a lump sum? Are we starting ground up? What type of investment we have? All of that. So I tell people, think about this. If we had a 10% move on $1,000, it's still a 10% move, right? But it's not going to look the same as, let's say, a 10% move on 100,000. That dollar amount is going to look different. But the move is still the same. My goal is to get you in the game so you can at least start letting your money work. Now, we got to let it grow. It's a snowball. We got to let it do its thing. But if you don't start saving, how else do you get to that point where you get to see that big move, well, that same move on a bigger dollar amount? Because most of us, we save, and then life happens, and then we got to take it out, and then we save again. And so we kind of build that strategy so that you don't get in that residual cycle of saving, touching. So yes. Yes, sir.
I got a question. On the scale, noticed that it went from like 6 to 12.
Mhm.
And what's the time period that it take to go from that 3 to that 12?
Percent?
Yeah.
It just depends on the year. Kevin, can you go back to the stock? I mean the investments for me. So if you look at different, you'll try to put like two of them on there at a time for me. Yeah. So these are the same time period, but those numbers look real different, right? Because this up here for 3 is 10%, but this one down here for 3 is at 13, and this one down here for 3 years is at 27%. So it really just depends on which investment we're in and how we want that money to work. So yes, sir. But I tell people it just the thing is get in the game. Because if you're not in the game, you can't win it. What you miss 100% of all the shots you don't take. So. Mhm. These are different rides. Mhm. Yep.
I always tell people too, I'm a very I will let it ride.
Yeah. No, you're. Yeah. Yeah. He'll. But
for me, I'm also the type of person to ride the most dangerous roller coaster ever.
he is.
I jump out of planes for a living.
He jumps out of planes.
But understanding that though, it's all about your risk profile
Yeah.
and what you're able to like handle.
Yes.
So if it drops, if it's huge game, you risk.
Yeah.
Drop. So you have to be able to ride the wave that even when it's down, know that what goes down must what?
Come up.
Come up.
Yep.
Right? What we were taught, what goes up must go down.
But what
goes
down
down
must come up. Yep.
The stock market is always a question.
And the other thing is, some of these are not like you have dividends. So what dividends, they come where companies, because you own parts of these companies, some of them hit monthly, some of them hit quarterly, even if the market doesn't move. You have capital gains. You are an owner of these companies. So you get to participate in their profits, not just their growth, but also what they profit within the business and all of those things too, okay? So, any other questions? The portfolio managers? Oh, okay, so he wants me to hit on the portfolio managers. So each one of the companies have portfolio managers. I'll use Invesco as an example. Invesco, if you watch college football, y'all heard of the QQQ, the one that they advertise all the time on the college football commercials at all? Anybody? No? No. Invesco. Yes, you've heard Invesco. Okay, so yes. So that's one of the companies we partner with. So Invesco has portfolio managers. They are not just hired into their position. They are voted in and come into their positions by their peers. So that means you got to be doing your job. The other thing is they have years and years of experience. When you start putting a whole group of people together, they have some of them 50 years of experience. So they've seen the highs and lows. They done seen some stuff with the market. The other thing is they have to have a certain amount of their money in the funds that they manage. So they got to have skin in the game, okay? And so these aren't just people who, are just everyday people. These are people who've shown that they know what they're doing. They understand the business cycle. A lot of people ask me about things like AI, right? And if you think of AI and you want to buy something with AI, what's the first company you think of that you would buy? Apple. Most people would start thinking tech, right? Guess what they are thinking? Energy. Because the energy plants to manage the AI have to be built. They're thinking the backside. We're not, and who wants to think about that in your day-to-day life? I need to invest in this company, and what is this CEO doing, and what their earnings look like, and that's their job, and that they do it very well. Okay, we get to go in and listen to them and see their thinking. They're like, oh, we're at this part of the business cycle, and this legislation is going to affect this and that, and that's their jobs. So it's not just anybody managing that for you. It's people who've been here for a while, and they have shown that they know what they're doing. Like I said, these funds have been around. We have funds from 1940. Okay, so they've been through some stuff. Yeah. So any other questions? No? Yes? Mm-hmm.
One of the things is that your investments on short term.
Mhm.
If I'm moved to invest $50,000 in, like you said, energy,
Mhm.
okay, what company would you literally recommend?
I will say it depends on, because we have companies that have like religious based funds, right? So some people say, hey, I don't want to deal with companies that aren't treating their employees well and all of that stuff. And that's why I say it's a one-on-one conversation, because I have to talk to the person that's in front of me. Because we may say energy, but energy can be very broad, and you can be talking utilities, and then some people are talking tech energy, and some people are talking like windmill energy. So depending on what that person is asking me will determine which fund I choose. And so that's why when you were saying, can you have a broker? Yeah, because you might not know, like, because you'll hear something on social media say, get in this fund. Everybody should be in this fund. Everybody's situation isn't the same, right? And so when we talk short term, when I talk short term with people, I actually normally don't invest short term. The reason being, it doesn't give the money a chance. I don't want somebody to say something, right? Some legislation to come out. The government shut down and the market goes down, and you need that money to pay for something, and now the market's down. Now you got to jump off the ride.
And one thing good, one thing that you know, when stocks are up and
Mhm.
people are profiting from that stock that's up, and everybody wants to get on board of that,
Mhm.
would you advise that?
I advise anytime you have money to put into the market, we should be talking about putting it in the market. I don't time the market when I talk to people. I build strategies. The way I want you to think about this is like going through school, college. You got to go through the courses, right? My job is not to have you have one good semester. Or like if you want to use sports, y'all, I love sports. I don't want you to have one good game. I want you to be the GOAT of your financial career, right? I want you to have season after season after season of moving forward towards your goals. So I normally don't think really short term unless we're planning to buy a house or something like that. Then I'm going to invest in, we're going to put that money in. I say invest, but it might not be in an actual investment like this. It may be a money market or something like that. That way it's not fluctuating in the market. But that's a conversation to see what that person's need is. And so with that, we build a strategy for what that individual in front of us needs to have. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I try not to make very blanket statements. I do, now I can make the blanket statement that everybody should have a conversation with someone in our industry to make sure that you're on track. Because I'm not saying anybody has to change anything. You might be doing perfectly fine, but when we like to make sure. And so that's pretty much what me and Kevin do for you.
And I hate to keep on like
No, you're fine.
keep on going on.
No.
The Bitcoin,
Mm.
right? What the Bitcoin?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a dive
Mm-hmm.
in the Bitcoin here lately.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any resurrection of life for Bitcoin in the future as being?
So when I talk to people about cryptocurrency is very young, right? Do we when we talk to people, I'm not saying don't have crypto, just know that it's young and we don't know how it's going to function. Anybody, we can watch them, because I'm not a day trader, I'm a investment advisor. So we're not watching the trades, like how people are jumping in and out of stocks in the day to day. That's not what we do. What we do is figure out what companies meet the objective that you have. So if your objective is growth, we're looking for companies that are going to do that long term, as long as we need them to. Bitcoin and all of that, that's more of a day trading type of thing, and that's outside my scope of my licenses. But I will say, just know, please learn how to read charts if you're going to do it. Learn what you're actually trying to do, because a lot of times people just jump in it and they're like, oh, okay, I'm in it, when other people are actually day trading it. So they're moving in and out of it. They're taking profit. So then when you see it drop, you're like, dang, oh my goodness, I thought I was supposed to be in this, but they weren't trying to hold it. They were just trying to, make some money today. They're just trading in and out of it. So just know what you're trying to do when you get it. If you're getting it to hold it and use it as an investment, understand it's going to fluctuate. If you're trying to use it as a day trading instrument, know when to get in and when to not. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Day trading is more of a full-time job.
Yeah.
If you look at it, does everybody remember what happened with Dogecoin? Like the price went up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was very high. And what happened is people on the other end was feeding that coin. People on the market end was feeding it to be able to push the price of that value up. So then people started flooding money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And once it did, everybody that flooded money into it was just like, oh man, it's high up right now. Man, I'm about to make blah, blah, blah. And those other folks pulled all of their money back and it tanked it. And they took your profit.
Yeah, it's called a pump and dump.
Yep, pump and dump.
It's called a pump and dump. So but that is outside our scope. I got to say that again. That is outside my license. That is outside my license. But if you are interested, please take a course or something, because it can be, I used to day trade. It can be, it can be a sad day. I've seen some people lose whole retirement accounts, day trading. And so, do I recommend doing it? No, I don't, unless you're practicing first. Practice within a system that allows you to do it without real money first, and do not use too much money. Start small, build if you're going to do it. But that is outside my scope of license.
I got a question. If somebody watching online or one of us wanted to use your service, what would be our process of doing that?
So, Kevin, you about to pull it up for me? Okay. So we have our contact information. We do Zoom, and we also do face-to-face. I am in Montgomery. Kevin is closer. And Kevin, where are you?
Here in Columbus.
He's in Columbus. But I don't mind doing Zoom and those things to make sure. Is the number is it gonna let you? You might want to Zoom. Yeah. So you can scan that QR code, and it will bring you to us. I can also give my number and Kevin's number. You want to do numbers instead? Okay. Okay. So you said you better with numbers. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so you can. My phone number is 334-354-7241. That's yes, 334-354-7241. And Kevin's gonna have to say his, because I don't. We don't remember numbers no more, y'all. Yeah. We used to remember numbers. We don't remember numbers no more. The only numbers I remember is my mama and my Mimi's. So that's all. But yes, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk tonight. We really do love what we do and want to make sure that we can change what's projected to happen within our communities. When we first heard about 2053 as licensed professionals, it really rattled us because we are set to be back in financial bondage within our lifetime. You go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see you go.
No. It's good. Very good.
Before you ask a question, let me give my phone number out really quick. So my phone number is 407. Yep, it's 407-461-5830. Kevin, yes. And then for those of you who are watching this, if you all look on the bottom of the flyer, there's a QR code that you can scan, and that allows you to go to my calendar that you can set up a complimentary conversation. I do also have to tell people, because a lot of times we get questions on, what does this all cost me? Like, what are the fees, assessed with this? You guys don't pay us to consult you and have a conversation with you, all right? What we do is we allow, this is information that you all can Google, you can look up yourself and things like that, and we're here to help you set a good foundation for a better understanding, for you to be able to get that information to put you in better vehicles, right? Our company compensates us with what we're able to do on behalf of the company in itself, but as far as the compensations and the sessions that we have, like I'm never gonna ask you, be like, oh yeah, I know we done spent an hour and a half on the phone, you owe me $200. That's not how that works, right? That's not how that works.
So
Yes, it'll take you to my calendar, and the calendar is also tied in with Ayana's, or excuse me, Ms. Kill, and we're able to set up an appointment with you to be able to set that Zoom appointment to be able to have a conversation with you.
So, can you tell us again what you bring to the table? Your
My licenses? Oh.
Before she talks, I'm gonna give her. I like to speak on Ayana. Yep, I like to speak on Ayana. In the industry, right? A lot of people in the financial industry don't look like myself or her, right? And they're even projected at, what's the projected loss? It was like 70% of the current advisors now. Current advisors are probably not going to be advisors for too much longer. Yeah, they're getting ready to like move on out the past. They're at that 65 age, getting ready to enjoy that $1 million that they put in to effect in itself. So there's prime opportunity to be able to then come and get like a piece of the pie if you were the person that wanted to do something like this. And for anybody that's also interested in getting into the financial industry, I will tell you the most millionaires I've ever met in my life all came from the financial industry, right? Because when I can, as a person, because I'm in the process right now of getting my licenses, if I can, as a person, help somebody get theirs, guess what it does for me? Helps me get mine, right? So it's like each one reach one. I learn, I teach you, you learn, and so on and so forth in itself. But for Ayana, I want you guys to understand something. The licenses that she has, she literally has the ability to go and apply to be a stockbroker on Wall Street, right? That's not to be taken lightly in itself. A lot of you all know that if you wanted to go talk to a stockbroker, how much money would you even have to have in asset, right? And shoot, before, a time it was money that I was like, I ain't never even seen before. So you look at it like that, right? When you all come to us, utilize us for who we are. Utilize us for the license we took the time to be able to earn. Ask as many questions as you want, because between the both of us, we're going to have the answer. And if we don't have the answer, guess what? We got a team of people that has the answer. So we'll be able to find out things for you to be able to set you up personally for you. And a lot of what I like to tell people, it's never a one-size-fits-all type of thing, right? What may work for you ain't going to work for you, and so on and so forth, right? What may work for me is not going to work for my daughter, because I can tell you from experience, it's actually pretty good to be able to have had the same opportunity to set my mother up for her own retirement plan, to make sure that she's properly protected, right? To make sure that my daughter, who is now 1 year old trying to walk, right, is on the road to where by the time she even knows what finances are, she's probably going to have more money in an account that I was able to have by the time I was even like 30. And that's the empowerment that we try to do to be able to help the newer generation do better than what we did before, right?
You knew what you were doing. Kevin knows that I'm very, kind of quiet about what I do and how I do it. But I'm getting better. He's working with me on this. But don't do that. So most people only have 401ks. That's pretty much the only investments that most people have. What I do is show you how to invest beyond your 401k. So if you tell me, okay, Ayana, I would like to retire at this age, or as I like to call it, become work optional.
Scramble your Wi-Fi on your camera system when it gets
As I like to call it, become work optional. Because you might want to still work. Everybody don't want to sit at home, and do nothing. But I can tell you how much money you need to make that happen. Because most of us, when we retire, or they give it to us as an age, right? They say, what's retirement age right now? Anybody know? 67. They're trying to raise it to 70 right now, right? Now, if you say, hey, I retire at 70 because they said 70 is the age, all you can do is live till 70, right? That's it. But if we say, okay, I want to retire at 50, we can say how much money we need to put away to make that happen and what that money needs to be doing to make it happen. And now we are becoming an active participant in our financial situation. So that's what I do. I figure out what your goals are and I dollarize it. How do we get there, and how do we get there in the most effective way, but also within the way you can handle it? If you're saying, hey, I have debt, how do we pay that off in the most effective way? Because a lot of I didn't show it tonight, but to show people how to pay off their debt. So now instead of investing $100, now they're investing everything they were just paying somebody else. That helps you get to that goal of building wealth a lot faster. If you saying, hey, I have kids and I want to prepare them for college, we set up for that. If you're saying, hey, I have a little person and I know at 16 years old I want to buy them a car, would you rather get a loan to buy them a car at 16 or spend the next 16 years planning for that car, right? And so what we do is figure out all the goals you have. If you're saying I want to retire and I want to be able to travel across the world, what does that look like? So that we can plan for it. And that's pretty much what I do. I build a plan for your dreams, your goals, where you want to be, what you want your family to look like, and how we can get there effectively. So yes. All right?
So if just throwing some number out,
Mhm.
if we had $20,000 to invest for, let's say, 10 years,
Mhm.
uh,
Where we put it? We got a few things to consider, okay? Is that 20,000 the only thing that you have, right? And so, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's,
invest that you're not worried about this money.
then we have to figure out, okay, well, when you say, where do we want to invest it? Like I said, we're going to figure out what ride you can handle. I go through a series of questions that it's very conversational. But I hear things when you say it that lets me know we might not need to do this one yet. We might need to do this one instead. All of the investments are good. Like I tell people, there's no like bad investment that's on our platform. It just depends on the person and everything that's going on with them. Because even if you say 10 years, okay, 10 years, but if you don't have the savings, right? And let's say you have, 5,000, right? I had people who blew through 5,000 worth of savings when the government shut down, right? So they had to have money. They had to touch those investments that we had. But we had already planned for, yes, you have this money, but we're going to put some of it over here first and then the rest of it over there. So they still had extra money that wasn't aggressively in the market. So I don't throw out things unless I talk to a person one-on-one. I really have to get to know you and talk to you to figure out. Because anybody who gives you, when you talk to them and they say you should do this without talking to you, you remember I told you, they don't know you. They don't know what your needs are. That's the same thing as if I walked up to you today and said, you know what, you need a new roof on your house. And you looking at me like you ain't never even been up there. You're trying to sell me something, right? My job is not to sell you anything. My job is to put you in the place where you want to go. And that's what I'll do. So it just depends on what every person is different. Okay?
We seen it to where like people kind of like bite off more than they can chew,
Mm-hmm.
right? To where it's like, oh, well, Kev, I want to be a millionaire tomorrow. Well, that ain't gonna happen, right? And it was like, why not? Because the things you're gonna have to be willing to do to be a millionaire by tomorrow, you ain't gonna be willing to do it. You know what I'm saying? So having to be able to answer that question, it's what we try to like avoid because it's more so like a one size fits all, and it's never that. It's never going to be a situation where, hey, if I did this, because we can try to project what the market's going to do, but the market's going to do what it does, right? And what you can prepare to do is just ride the wave by being in the appropriate vehicle or on the right roller coaster ride that you can handle. Because either one of the roller coasters that you're on, the market's going to do what it does. But it's affecting each roller coaster a little bit differently because the risk level is different. Does that make sense? And that's where it's like, and I tell you, if you got the money to play, come talk to me. We'll be aggressive.
Yeah, talk to Kevin. Don't talk to me. Talk to Kevin because I'm very I take my time and I hear what clients are saying before we do anything. I won't even show you certain things. Kevin knows I don't even show aggressive accounts first conversation. I don't know you well enough.
Even to me,
No.
you should, yes.
No. So it takes me some time before, because I really have to figure out like what really works for that person. And some of them are good, but when I say aggressive, right? I'm talking sector specific, like all technology, all this, all like where there's no diversification. It takes time for me to figure out and that's not like a long term. That's for people who like, oh, okay, I got $200 I want, on 2,000 I want to play with over here, but we've built a whole strategy and you've gotten to know me and we kind of figured out what you. So I'm literally gonna be like the person that really asks the questions. Are you sure? Because I never want to put my clients in a situation. I become family. Like my representative, I call him my uncle at this point. He's like family to us. And yes, I work with you, but I want you to be like, okay, Ayana, I know Ayana she's not gonna do nothing that I don't want done, and I may go to her, but she gonna ask me a bunch of questions to make me think about, is this what I want to do before I do it? I work with you. Now, if you say you want to jump, we're gonna jump, but we're gonna talk about it before we jump, cause I'm jumping with you. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's what I do, and I really do love what I do because it allows. I was like I said, my life changed in 2020. And God gave me something that I get to, because my degree is in psychology. This is not what I was doing before. I still get to talk to people, love on people, be a part of their lives, all that, but I ain't got to hear all their deepest, darkest secrets like I would have in therapy, you know what I'm saying? But I get to be a part of their journey. I have clients who call me, be like, we pregnant, and they done told me before they told anybody else, right? I get to be a part of them buying their first home because we saved for a down payment for a house for the last 3 years because we plan for it. So you know what I'm saying? So that's what I enjoy doing. Every advisor will be different. Every advisor will be different. But that's pretty much it, you guys. If y'all want to have a one-on-one conversation so that you can figure out what works for you, that's great. If you feel like you're set, but you know other people, because if you the only one who good, okay? If you the only one who's set, you the one they gonna call. Yes. Oh, you got to go. Oh, you frying fish. Yes. But all right. Yes. Well, I look forward to it. Yes. Yes. But thank you, gentlemen. But all right. I enjoyed y'all. Thank you. You've been so helpful.